is Belinda Dubston, and you are here with me, and I'm so happy you are, for our annual I Ching forecast for 2026. Happy New Year! Hope that you had a brilliant transition into the new year, and wishing you and your friends and your family, loved ones, the most amazing, powerful, and meaningful year ahead. New beginnings, number one year. So let's see, as we work with the I Ching in 2026, what is it that we should focus on and work with to accelerate our development individually and as a collective. So, thinking back on last year, we always like recapping what went before. Our hexagram from last year, if you remember, was hexagram 11, peace, locked. Okay, and we sure needed a lot of peace in our world. Sometimes I find with these annual hexagrams, even sometimes the monthly, when there are bigger time frames, it's a little more tricky to get our heads wrapped around the idea or the concept or how that hexagram is showing up when it's such a big arc. And that's why I love asking really focused questions, because it allows you to kind of really experience the I Ching directly. Last year we had hexagram 11, peace locked. We had a world filled with not peace. And perhaps this hexagram came to bring us this idea of being at peace, of finding a way of lining ourselves up, of opening up to the inner peace that's possible, and to focusing on peace as an antidote to the non-peace, unpeace that we experienced in our world. With this hexagram, with hexagram 11, what it talks about is the flowering profusion. We literally had this hexagram pop up right at the tail end of January, which is so amazing when we have these cycles that repeat themselves. It's like we finished up 2025 with the hexagram that was for the whole year, reminding us of the opportunity we had in many different ways to open up, to receive blessings, even if it felt tough and challenging, to focus on where we were aligned, where the fertility was flowing, where things were working. So easy to focus on where things were not working. Where were things flowering and opening up and pointing the way to new things? And did we open up to that energy, or did we shut down in the midst of all the external and internal pressure we faced in the year? Well, I'm pretty glad 2025 is gone. I'm happy for the blessings. I tried to see a lot of the challenges in new ways. Didn't always do so well at that. But lovingly released the year. Everything we learned, everything we got out of it, everything it asked of us, we release it. Okay. And so we look at 2026, a new year. Not just that, a new beginning, interesting energies, new things emerging, okay, that we can work with in the year to come. And so what is the I Ching calling us to focus on? With this annual overview, it provides a great context, a symbol for us to keep on coming back to, no matter what the monthlies are as we transition, and those weeklies in a shorter time period. What is the bigger picture, the bigger story that we can unlock in the year to come? And so our first hexagram, no locked hexagrams this year, is hexagram 27, nourishment. Structurally, it's the bird with an open mouth. The jaw on the top and the bottom, the teeth or the open mouth, right? The aperture of the open mouth between the top and the bottom lines. That little bird with its beak wide open going, feed me, mommy. Okay. This year is going to have an energy of where we are being challenged and we are growing, okay? And we are leaning into the idea of nourishing ourselves and others, okay? Nourishment, whenever we had this hexagram before, we talk about nourishment being so multifaceted. We have the physical nourishment, sleep, exercise, sexual health, okay, diet, all those things that contribute to the well-being of the physical temple, okay. Are we doing enough to look after our physical temple? Are we nourishing ourselves and our physical lives, our financial lives? Very important part of our nourishment is having cash, okay, because it pays for all the other things. All right, then we have our emotional nourishment. That's the quality of our relationships, our engagement, our capacity to love and care for each other. to be nourished emotionally, and not expect others to nourish us, but to nourish ourselves and understand boundaries, all those lovely things. Okay, emotional nourishment, making choices that feed the heart. And then we have the mind, making choices that feed the mind. What could we do differently in this year to really stimulate the brain? Okay, we don't want to perpetuate the dementia statistic. Okay, accelerating deterioration of the brain. We want to have a healthy mind, and that means a healthy brain, a healthy, inspired mind, learning and growing and using our critical faculties and studying and getting educated and clarifying and thinking and developing logic. These are all parts of what the mind is thriving to do, to be nourished. And then, of course, do not forget our spiritual nourishment. No matter how you might find that, finding a structured way to connect to your spiritual nourishment, right, wherever you might find that, no matter whatever you may call it, is going out and finding what you need. Don't ignore that one, because that trickles down to all the other bodies, all the other levels. It's very, very important. So it's a year where we consider what we put in the mouth and what comes out the mouth. Okay, sometimes super health conscious people are very obsessed about what goes in the mouth, but are not too worried about what comes out the mouth. Okay, what do we say to others? What are our words? Because those things nourish or denourish, dehydrate others. Okay, so we nourish ourselves. The second part of that is thinking about the top half of this hexagram, which is nourishing others. How do our words, our deeds, our emotions, our thoughts, our spiritual practices, how do those nourish others? This is where the path of service comes in. In this hexagram, when we get to the changing line, you'll see how important this is for this year. Okay, so we're going to be really dialed in this year to nourishment, care, self-care, being very decisive around what we spend our time, our energy, our money, our love on, and being really discerning and particular around where we get our nourishment, and not just taking it from wherever it may come, because often we tend to lean into things for nourishment that do not nourish us. The empty calories, I'm not talking about actual eating, I'm saying the empty calories, empty physical calories, empty emotional calories, empty mental calories, empty spiritual calories. Okay, so we are focusing on nutrition of all levels this year. Okay, we have one changing line this year. It falls into the 6th position, the top line. Okay, a force that's culminating, coming to its fulfillment. Because we have one changing line, that breaks our year up into 2 parts. So you can imagine for the first 6 months of the year up until the 30th of June, roughly as a guide, this changing line is growing in power until it reaches its waxing point, okay, its maximum, and it then starts to wane as the outcome hexagram comes in. In changing line 6, this line really dials us in to the importance of nourishing the people around us, our world, our clients, our families, our communities, of undertaking the important, even if there are challenging tasks, undertaking the challenges, while holding in mind how can we be of greater good, how can we help others, how can this uplift others, how can this inspire others, nourishment of others and our service to our fellow man, fellow woman, fellow person, very important, especially for the first 6 months of the year. In my life, this channel has been an amazing, life-affirming choice to step into doing this work as my give back. It's been an amazing journey, and I am so grateful for the decision to do it and to keep doing it, because of what it brings to me and to other people. And for you in your life, think about where can you be of service, particularly the first 6 months of the year. Where can we lean into the things where we can be of service? Now, being of service is not about doing a job you're paid to do, okay? And it's not about working in a soup kitchen. It's a mindset of striving ceaselessly to recognize our unity with the whole of humanity and to serve others. You choose if that's important to you, because if it's not important to you, don't make it important, all right? If it's not really important to you, don't do that. But if it is important to you, if it does bring you nourishment, then find a way to do that. And it can be just about being more present, more involved with the people around you, asking great questions, really listening, providing support, providing expertise, guidance. There are so many ways that we can fulfill that. And I just love Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote where he says, "Service to others is the rent we pay for our life here on earth." Service to others is the rent we pay for our life here on earth. I think I'm missing a couple of words in that, but paraphrased, that is the quote. And it's a powerful way to think about this changing line, and particularly the first 6 months of the year, is orientating ourselves in the bigger picture. Now, we should not lose our individuality in the quest to serve others. That's not what service is asking us to do. What we're doing is we're putting others at the center of the story. And if you ever feel, and I've done this myself, so I speak from first-hand experience, if you're ever going through a tough time in life, emotionally, whatever it might be, you put yourself in service of others. It is miraculous how that transforms your pain. Absolutely miraculous. In fact, this channel was created in one of the toughest times of my life. And I decided I'm going to, instead of being sucked into that energy, I'm going to turn that energy on itself and be of service. And it changed the game. So for me, when I see this line, when I see this hexagram, that's what I think about. The rent we pay. What is the rent you need to pay that makes you fulfilled? It can't just be something that you could do for empty calories. Okay, it must be meaningful. What can you do to make a difference? Okay, so that leads us to a second hexagram, which then kind of picks up from mid-June, okay, right? Starts building up, and you might find it earlier. You might find these energies work in parallel for you throughout the year. But the second and relating outcome hexagram for this cycle, for this year of 2026, is hexagram 24, the return, the turning point. Okay. The point of lightness that returns after the darkness. Okay, so if you look at the structure of the hexagram, whole lot of dark female lines, light-giving principle coming in the bottom, moving way up, bringing light back in to the dark night of the soul. Okay, service, service, service is the rent we pay. So I see that when I look at this hexagram and I see this idea of the return, return is also about turning back to something of the past, returning back to the path. If we got lost and we went wandering off into the wilderness, getting back onto the path that we are really here to do. Returning back to a better time. Okay, the turning point after difficulty, the bear emerging, starting to emerge and move in the cave, okay, after the hibernation, a return to better times. The energy is moving, okay. And so this year brings us this opportunity, and I really think this idea of service and nourishment of self and others is critical in moving towards this process of victory, of the big turning point. This hexagram comes for our annual overview. Okay, so what it's doing is setting the scene and saying, right, for this year, we are working on nourishment, we are focusing on our self-care and the care of others, and we are focusing on service and undertaking the challenge, and we are shifting the game, and we are merging and starting to shuffle out of the cave like the bear does at the end of hibernation, starting to move, starting to shift its energy. It's not there yet, but the tide has turned. Okay, we are moving somewhere better this year. We are shifting big cycles, not just small little ones. Monthlies and the weeklies bring those small cycles. The bigger cycles are turning. The turning point is here in the year to come. Oh, that sounds exciting. I'm looking forward to reconnecting with this concept throughout the year as we go through our monthlies and our weekly forecasts. And I look forward to doing that with you in 2026 as we embrace the year and we choose beautiful, full, nutrient-rich calories, not the empty calories, and we go for it. Coming up soon is our monthly overview, so stay tuned for that. And of course, if this was valuable to you, thumbs up, a like would be great. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and of course, hit the follow button on the podcast, and I will see you very soon for that monthly overview as we get stuck into January and start unpacking the detail week by week, month by month. Until then, take care.